Even though British actor Ben Whitehead has been the voice of Wallace for over a decade, he was very nervous about starring as the titular protagonist in the new Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Fowl film. After British actor Peter Sallis' retirement, who was the voice of Wallace in the Academy Award-winning Wallace and Gromit films, followed by his death in 2017 aged 96, Whitehead, 47, took over the role, having filled in for him in Wallace and Gromit's Grand Adventures, a series of BBC One Christmas adverts which aired in 2008, and later performed as Wallace in Wallace and Gromit's musical marvels at the BBC Proms and Jubilee Bunt-a-thon. The most exciting thing is when you see your first bit of animation, where they have started filming and put your voice to it. I was very nervous about doing this job. I was really nervous and excited because it was a big undertaking, says Whitehead when speaking to PA. It was a feature film, and you're thinking, God, am I doing it right? And you don't have a cast of actors there with you to help you calm down when you're feeling hysterical. It was a daunting prospect. So nothing specifically stands out. The whole thing was just really exciting. When you see that first animation, you realize it's got nothing to do with me. Well, that's not quite true, but usually it's not. Why was I so worried? I'm not the genius here. The animators putting this together are. Everyone working on this film is doing much more than I am, working millisecond by millisecond, and just creating this amazing thing. That's the most exciting, fun part when you start to see the fruits. In a separate interview with Digital Spy, Whitehead reveals the apt trigger word that helps him get into character as Wallace. In terms of trying to capture Peter's voice from before, I obviously do listen back to those and see what has gone on before, which I've been doing since I was a young boy watching A Grand Day Out, Whitehead explained to the publication. Now, the journey to work is good for me as I can sit on a train and watch the Wallace and Gromit films and have a real laugh and get into character. For me, cheese is definitely the trigger word to help me get into character. I was also coached by Andrea Hazel Lewis, who took the time to look at Peter's voice and the character of Wallace. For example, Wallace sometimes protrudes his tongue a little bit, so you can do a similar thing when voicing him. Whitehead was a fan as a kid, and used to do the odd voices, accents, and impressions. So he was glad to get a call from a friend in Bristol who was working with Aardman Animations at the time and needed reading actors to cast for the new film. I had to get down there in 2 hours. I don't think I've hung up the phone that quickly before, and luckily I was in the West Country. It was a good example of why it's important to stay in contact with your good friends and be in the right place at the right time.